Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the main event. You're here with me, Daniel,
And Aaron.
and we have got our final group preview, Group D. Aaron, your fiercest rivals are in this group. Before we dive in and have a look at their fortune and how they are getting on, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Give us a like if you have been enjoying these videos. This is the last group preview, so we do have all the other ones available now if you haven't seen them already, so go and give them a watch and a like as well. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. We are at UCL Fantasy Pod, and we are working with at All About FPL, so give them a follow as well. Aaron, Inter Milan, your nemesis. They've had a couple of interesting signings. Correa, is that Correa from Lazio that they signed? I didn't look.
I believe it is. Yes, it is. Because it's the same manager from Lazio.
And Denzel Dumfries, obviously the fantasy Euro hero. He hasn't been there long enough to have played any of the games, I don't think. And maybe he could have played. Was it today they played or yesterday? I keep on forgetting.
They played
today, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were the early kickoff. 2-2.
2-2. So they won the first game of the season 4-0. They won the second game of the season 3-1. And they drew with Sampdoria away today 2-2. Handanovic is the goalkeeper. They do play a back three of Skriniar, De Vrij. Bastoni played the first two games, and DiMarco came in today. He got a goal today, DiMarco. Good for you, mate. Darmian is the right wing back. He has 1 assist this season. Perisic is the left wing back. No attacking returns. And in the middle, consistently, is Barella, who has an assist in every single game this season. Brozovic, who is doing absolutely nothing attacking-wise. And Çalhanoğlu, who has 1 goal and 1 assist, and that was in the first game. He's done nothing since in terms of attacking returns. Up front, the first game, Sensi played, was then subbed off for Vidal. If you remember him, Arturo Vidal, he got a goal and an assist off the bench. And they also played Edin Dzeko, who has played every game. He has a goal and assist, and they were both in the first game as well. For the last 2 games, Lautaro Martinez has came in. He has a goal in both of those games, so 1 apiece. And in that first game for him, Inter Milan's second game, the 3-1 win, he came off for Correa, who got 2 goals. So the scoring aplenty. They are sharing them by discount Vidal. I don't think he's going to be getting many minutes at 142 years old. I think obviously you've got Dzeko, Lautaro Martinez, and Correa. They seem to be the 3 main goal threats. And Barella is obviously doing excellently with his assists. In just 1 more goal that I haven't mentioned, Skriniar scored in the first game. So the defenders are chipping in as well. I imagine they're from set pieces. You watch Serie A properly, Aaron. What have you made of Inter Milan start, their team, their prospects for this group?
I think Inter Milan, I prefer this Inter Milan to last year's, which is kind of weird because last year they had Lukaku. But in terms of an overall squad, they managed to get rid of a lot of their older players because I think the average age last year, it was very old.
63, I think.
It's older than Pirlo.
They were older than Pirlo.
They've still got a lot of them, but there's a lot more younger players. Like you've got Sensi and Barella and a couple of others. While last year they had people like Ashley Young and stuff still there. So
yeah,
very old.
Ericsson, Alexis Sanchez. Not that Ericsson's particularly old, but he was not young either.
Yeah.
But Alexis Sanchez, obviously they've still got
he's still
Vidal.
there.
They brought in Dzeko. He's not young. He's no spring chicken. But yeah, it does look like the balance is a little better.
In terms of like the players to aim for, Dumfries is very interesting. It's an absolute steal that they got him, to be fair, for the amount that they paid for him. His buyout clause was ridiculously low. But in terms of some of the other players, I think they've been overpriced, probably because they were a pot one team. I think Barella is interestingly priced. Correa is interestingly priced, but I think 10 million for Lautaro is too much, especially when 0.5 more you can get the likes of Mbappe, etc.
Yeah.
Dzeko at 7.5, I think, is a lot more interesting. But just some of the others, like I remember last year in the Euros when we were last year when we did the Euros.
2 months ago.
It's just because it's Euro 2020 confuses
Yeah.
me. I said that Skriniar would be a really good defender to get with ball recovery points, but I feel like 5.5 is too much, especially because De Vrij, who's the center midfield, the center defender of the three, is 5 million. I'd rather have De Vrij than Skriniar. And
Yeah.
Dumfries is 5 million as well, because if he starts straight in, Shalinoglu, what a traitor, can't stand him. But he automatically raises the set piece threat of Inter Milan because he's so good at them. He's done wonders with AC Milan set pieces for years, and yeah, I think into having them type of defenders for them to aim for, it makes them so dangerous, especially when you've got Dzeko up front. Lukaku
Yeah.
was good, but Dzeko's just as he's not as physically intimidating because Lukaku's just massive. But
Yeah.
Dzeko, you don't want to be marking him either.
Yeah. Dzeko's a big dude and he's amazing in the air. Let's be honest. He's got such a good head on him. But also it's his position and his timing. He's very, 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 very underrated as a striker, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people always forget his goal in Man City's 3-2 win against QPR. It's like relegated to the depths of time. It's just obviously Aguero and everyone who scored the other goals. No one can ever remember Zabaletta's or Dzeko's. Because obviously Dzeko's was like 2 minutes beforehand as well.
Mm-hmm.
Without him, you wouldn't have Aguero. I mean, the Aguero moment. Obviously, Sergio Aguero would still exist without any Dzeko. I agree. I had 5 names written down, and you've named them: Dzeko, Correa, Barella, Dumfries, and Martinez. They were the ones that I had wrote down. And Correa is interesting, but when he's not nailed to play, I don't think he will play. I think it's going to be Dzeko and Martinez. I think he's going to be coming off the bench. I think that's a bit of a waste. And he proved that he is excellent at this level when he played for Lazio last year. That was a good shout. Credit where it's due from Cameron. He had him in and we sort of went, really? And I think he proved his quality. I think it was excellent for them. 7 million is too much for a player that gets assists for Barella, in my opinion. He needs to be getting a goal out of that. Does he get ball recoveries? I don't think so.
He's an absolute workhorse.
Yeah.
I think we saw that in the Euros of how tired he was later on in the stages, because he just covers every blade of grass. And he does really well with a Brozovic type character who's just a less technically gifted Jorginho. He's just really good at kind of dictating the play, and Barella does really well with that kind of player because he's willing to do all the running so that Brozovic or Jorginho don't have to.
Yeah.
So I think as a partnership, they do really well.
Dumfries hasn't played yet, so I'll not be going near him until he starts playing. Once he does, he's going straight in. 5 million. Grazie. Let's move on to
the other teams.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting group, this one, isn't it? Real Madrid, obviously they've lost 2 centre-backs and earned another one who, actually, to be fair, I think playing as a left-back at times, which is nice to see. Because I still think Alaba is a better left-back than he is a centre-back. I think he's a very average centre-back. He's fine. He's positionally not very good. They started Mixed again, another mixed bag. Won 4-1, drew 3-3, and then won 1-0. Their game was suspended, I believe. Oh, no, sorry. Are they playing today, actually? Some of the Spanish games were suspended. Sevilla, Barcelona, for example. Sorry, they play tonight against Celta Vigo. So we don't know the teams yet. They do play fixed 4-3-3, which is lovely for us to try and predict who's going to play. Courtois in goal. Luca Vasquez played right back for the first two games. Danny Carvajal came in for the 1-0 win, and he was the one that got the goal from right back. Militao has played every game at centre back, so I think that's him pretty much nailed. Nacho played the first two games, and Alaba played the most recent game, the 1-0 at left-sided centre back. Alaba played the first two games at left back though, and got an assist from left back in the first game. Gutierrez, I don't think I've ever even actually heard of him, played at left back for the 1-0 win. Valverde, Casemiro have both played every game. Casemiro has one assist. That's it between them. Modric played the first two games, got an assist, but Isco came in for the most recent game. Gareth Bale has played every game from right wing. Karim Benzema has played every game up front. He has 2 goals and 3 assists. Class as ever, Benzema. Hazard has played the first 2 games. He got an assist, but he then got subbed off of Vinicius Jr. in both those games, and Vinicius Jr. scored 3 goals from them and then started in the 1-0 win, but didn't get an attack in return. How are you feeling about Real Madrid? Probably group favourites.
Yeah, maybe? I would say so. Gutierrez is really interesting. He's a 4 million defender. So hopefully he keeps starting. If he starts this week,
he starts tonight, then
he's probably the go-to 4 million defender, potentially. With the others, though, I think the injuries to Kroos and Modric open up this midfield in terms of the options, because past seasons, it was them 3. You pretty much guaranteed that it was them 3 starting in the midfield. In Casemiro, you went with him because he was the cheapest one and he got you the most points. But in terms of this midfield, you've got Casemiro 6.5, Valverde, who we had last season, but he's 6 million, which is really interesting. And then Isco has been playing a lot more. Isco and Gareth Bale. I mean, Gareth Bale's been playing a lot more under Ancelotti than he has probably the whole total minutes under Zidane. So I think that's just going to be really interesting in terms of
8.5 million midfielder.
Could be and probably starting. It really just depends on who they play tonight, because some of the other options, like Isco, really struggles with injuries, and they've just signed, I think we called it last year, Camavinga. We said that if he had a good season with Real Madrid will buy him. He did. Yep. Real Madrid bought him. He's 5.5, which is really interesting because he's a straight up box to box midfielder. I think that would be an interesting option to have if he starts. I don't know about first match day, but maybe.
I wouldn't be going for Real Madrid players first game unless you wanted to punt on Benzema at 10
or Casemiro or safe ball recovery points.
Yeah, that's fine. Casemiro's always fine. I think Casemiro scored against them last year, if I remember rightly.
That's a good point. This is pretty much, other than Sheriff, it's just a repeat of last year's group, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it was Shakhtar. Yeah, it was. And it was Mönchengladbach were in instead of Sheriff, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So that, at least that's an easier fixture, because Mönchengladbach were a really, really tasty team last year. And we'll show you very shortly that Sheriff aren't a tasty team at all. Would you be looking at any of the defenders other than that little 4 million Gutierrez?
I think there's better options at the price points.
Yeah, I agree. Especially that first game being Inter. Also, like I do think Gareth Bale could be very tasty at 8.5 at some point. Not the first game. Eden Hazard at 9.5 is a joke. Wouldn't go anywhere near him. Marcelo at 5 million. Does the game? Do they have any like perception of what actually happens? There's another joke in here. Oh, Lucas Vasquez, a 7 million midfielder when he plays at right back. Crazy. Furlan Mendy, I don't know what's really happened to him because he's not played this year. I don't know if he's injured or not. And Vinicius Jr. has been priced out as well because he's a forward on the game. And I don't understand why. Because he plays in the same position as Mane for Liverpool. And he's a midfielder. Because Junior at 8 million in midfield, I think is actually a good pick, but I'm not having him as an 8 million forward. No way. Mm-hmm. You just pay the extra 2 million at Benzema. So I think some of the Real Madrid players are a bit disappointing. Militao, if you did want to defend, that would be my choice at 5 million. You'll get some ball recoveries, but I'd generally stay clear. And the reason why I wouldn't go for like a Carvajal is injury prone. He's always injured. Let's crack on to Shakhtar then. So they played last night as well, I believe. Let's have a look here. So they've had an okay start. They've actually played 2 Champions League games, which really, really helps as ever. They won the first one 1-0 and drew the second one 2-2. They, just looking back at the last 3 league games, they've won 3-0, drawn 1-1, and they won last night 2-0. Piatov looks to be the goalkeeper. Trubin did play the first Champions League game, but Piatov's played every game since. Dodo and Konoplea have rotated at right back, just making sure, because they play 4 at the back. But Dodo got sent off in the 1-1 draw, so Konoplea did play yesterday. I think Dodo is the right back. He played both the Champions League games. They've then been messing around a bit in terms of centre-backs. Vitao and Krivistov have rotated, but Vitao plays the Champions League game, so I'd say he's the one to go for. And I think Marlon is going to be the other centre-back as well. So that would be my prediction in terms of a lineup. At left-back, here we go. Matvienko and Ismaili have been rotating. Matvienko has played the Champions League games. Ismaili has played the league games. Make of that what you will. But ultimately, I'm sure you can do better than a Shakhtar Donetsk left-back. In midfield, they either play with a double pivot or one single holding midfielder. I'm just looking through here. Macon has played the Champions League games, whereas Stepanenko has been playing the league game. So again, these are very rotation heavy, this team. No returns from this lot at all. I think if I'm like looking at people that have played a few games, Alan Patrick has 2 assists and a goal in these games. Tete hasn't done much. He was a bit of a folk hero last year, wasn't he? He was like 5 million or something and was just absolutely smashing it. He's not really done much this year. Pedrino, Sudakov, Solomon, Marlos, all with a goal each. It's not very helpful. Solomon has been playing the most games sort of behind the forward, who has been rotated. So I know I've seen a lot of people with Traore in there, 6.5 million. He played the first game and the next Champions League game, whereas Sikan played in the league. Traore then scored a pen in a 1-1 draw for the penultimate league game. But the most recent league game, Fernando started up front, not Traore. Fernando scored, then Traore came on for him, and Traore scored. Shakhtar are just a headache. As I'm sure yous are all so bored, listen to me even try to explain that. If you want to go for them, knock yourselves out. Mudryk, 5.5 million I think he's got 2 assists, but I think it's because he's quite highly owned. I've written him down. I'd say as an avoid. I'm just going to double check. Oh no, he's 0%. I don't know why I've written him down. I wouldn't even don't know why I've written that down. I think I was just trying to grasp at straws. Genuinely, I've seen a lot of people have Traore in because they're playing Sheriff first game, and they want someone to score. But it's not like Shakhtar are blowing teams away anyway. I do like the Cinder Traore. We looked at him last year for Ajax, didn't we? I think it's the same player, and we liked what he offered. So I can think of worse things, especially if you want a wild card early or if that's a transfer you've booked in. I think the forward spots are a bit too precious in this game, and especially when Messi has Bruges and Ronaldo has young boys and Lewandowski is Lewandowski. Haaland is Haaland. I mean, he scored another couple of goals yesterday, I think, or got a goal and assist or something ridiculous. That I don't care if Shakhtar are playing Sheriff. I'm not bothered about a 6.5 million forward. What do you think of Shakhtar?
I just agree with everything that you've said. To be fair, like they might do well against Sheriff, but there's better options for the prices, and it's why bring them in to just have to book in a transfer later on. There's not many players where you could be like, all right, I'm going to get them in and then keep them because they might get something. It's with the teams that they're facing, they don't face Sheriff again until like match day 5 or something. So it's best. I mean, at that price point, it's hard to get like a really good upgrade to someone else. And so, and in terms of like wild card and early, I'm not sure. I think we had a comment on YouTube as well asking, should I wild card early? I think wild cards in this game should be used for getting your team out of a bad situation, kind of like as a safety net, rather than using it as an aggression. Like the Euros were so short, so you could get away with it. This is a lot longer of a season. There's a lot more match days. So for me, they're not worth getting into your team, but there is that potential for a high ceiling against Sheriff somehow if they get it, which people might catch you though at the end in the long run.
I've seen some people and I've messaged people and they're wildcarding standard wildcard in match day 2. That's totally not for me. I'm with you, Aaron. I'll be using it once again, most likely in the quarterfinals once everything's gone to hell in a handbasket. Or I will use it in the groups if I get red cards and red flags and all this sort of stuff. But I finished really strong last year. I had a really good knockout stage, whereas other people claimed that they were dwindling. And it's because I was able to be completely risky for the round of 16, pick, like, it doesn't really matter who's going to go through. It's just who do I want that I think is going to absolutely smash it this game week. And then when I inevitably have teams and players going out and losing everyone, it's wild card, and it was really, really easy to keep that momentum going. I think my limitless wild card is where I sort of fell down last year when I used that. I am looking this year more of a game week 3 or game week 4 because Man City play early game week 3 and Chelsea play Malmo early game week 4. So depending on whether I want Man City team news against Bruges or Chelsea team news against Malmo. What I'd rather have someone like Benzema against Sheriff. So for me, it's a case of I want 3 premium forwards and then I can rotate them. Like, I'm not rotating my defense and my midfield. What's the point? But with the forwards, I think you can really target. And if you've got Traore in at 6.5, where do you go to if you want wildcarding? How are you getting up to when Inter Milan play this lot and when Real Madrid play this lot? Play Sheriff, because I've seen that like want to target Sheriff, yeah, but maybe just time it a bit better. That would be my advice. I just avoid Shakhtar. They were really good last year, but they fell off a cliff. The opening couple of games were great, but it was Real Madrid that played when they were at the training ground. And yeah, they were surprising, they were explosive. But we also saw some things last year when we were doing our group previews where we thought, these look like, you could target certain individuals. Everyone's getting in on the action. I've got no idea who I'd pick. No idea. Tete is the one that you think, oh, yes, he did well last year. He's done nothing in the league this year. I think Alan Patrick is the clear favourite in terms of has the most returns so far. I don't know how much he is, though. Let's have Alan Patrick.
6.5. Mm-hmm.
Is that what you want? A 6.5 million Shakhtar midfielder? Not for me. Let's go into the group's potential whipping boys. Sheriff, Tiraspol. If we have any Sheriff fans that listen, I don't think we do. But if we do, give us a shout. Just send us a DM or just tweet it at us. Sorry, I'm speaking in my Geordie dialect there that they will not understand. Would like to know more. Love to know more. We can't get Moldovan football over here. I haven't even been able to get a lot of the statistics for these games.
Yeah, same.
I do have them from the UCL games mainly, in which they won 3-0, drew 0-0, but got battered in that 0-0, and won again 2-0. I've had to sort of pick and choose my games. I can't get anything from the Moldovan League. Nothing. In terms of their teams, here we go. This is who Matt had in his team, is it?
Oh,
Athanasiadis? Yeah. It sounds Greek. It's all Greek to me. He's the goalkeeper anyway. I'm just going to go through players that I can see have played most of the games. So, Arboleda, Delanto, Ado, Thiel, Traore, who has 2 goals, Kolovos, who has 1 goal, Yansane has a goal and an assist, and Enrique has 1 assist. I've named some players there. The only 2 I've really got written down is Traore and Yansane at 5.5 million each. If you want to go for an ultimate pun, Aaron, have you got any opinions whatsoever on Sheriff? I'm guessing
I couldn't find anything. In all fairness, I just think that it's amazing that and what an advert it is for the league to be able to get a team here this far.
Unbelievable.
So, and the amount of money that, not that it's like I'm talking as if it's like a non-league team coming to face like a team like Manchester United in the FA Cup. But in reality, we have nothing on these teams and they're going to be facing Real Madrid. Like the kings of Europe are going to be coming to their stadium.
Unbelievable.
For a Champions League game, which is just absolutely class. So well played to them. And I'm going in with no expectations. So normally when I do that with movies, they end up really good. So I'm hoping that they'll do the same.
I think they're going to get absolutely battered in every single game. However, I'm there. I am going to be an armchair supporter for them. I'd love it if they could pick up some points. I don't see why they can't pick up some points against Shakhtar. I think Shakhtar are the better team. But at a home crowd, yeah, and they might, I don't know, because I don't even know what colour the kit is. I don't know what the stadium's like. But I mean, they could go for some very old school guerrilla warfare tactics of like having a messy pitch, the grass being really long, so Real Madrid can't play the ball around quickly. The pitch breaks up, just trying all of these things. Obviously, the crowd's going to be really important. I imagine that football is fine for them in Moldova in terms of having capacity stadiums. And it's just going to be so interesting to watch. I want to try and watch as many of their games as possible. If any of their games are on TV, they'll be the ones that I want to watch. Just that's why we do this podcast for random teams like this.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the reasons why we started, to encourage us to watch other football. And this is it. A Traore at 5.5 million, I think, for a midfielder. Why not? If you want the fairy tale.
I think it's going to be like when San Marino scored their first ever international goal. I think they were losing like 11-0, but they scored. And when they did, it was like they just won a cup.
I'm guessing you don't have any players. Could you even find any when you were looking for your...
No, to be fair, like in terms of people who have selected them for their team, there's a couple of people who, like, I know we had Matt on the live stream, but even the goalkeeper has 0% owned. So you've got Kojikari, Kojikaru, and Ado. They're the only players who are owned, and all of them are 4.5 mids. So it's probably just as a price point type of thing.
Yeah, for anyone that does have any of those players, from the information that I could find, so I'm sorry if this isn't 100% accurate, none of them play. Ado, sorry, totally my mistake. Ado does play. 4.5 million mid, played both games that I have data for. From what I can see, Kojikaru and Kojokari, just double checking, haven't played. And one other player that I didn't mention before, sorry, actually, Cristiano. He has played both games. He plays right back and left back. And he has an assist from fullback in the Champions League. I've got no idea how much he is or whether you'd possibly ever dream of having him. 4.5 million defender. No, not for Sheriff. Not for Sheriff in this group. Avoid. I think so far, obviously, this is our last group preview anyway. Me and Aaron don't actually have a main event team. We have our own teams. So this year we are going to do a main event team that are made up of Maverick picks and differentials. So I think Traore should perhaps be one of our midfielders, one of our 5 midfielders.
Let's do it.
Just that's the sort of the caliber that we're going for here. I think we've got like 3 or 4 million defenders. Just from doing this, you already think I don't have the balls to put them in my actual team, but I'd love to just
teams for. Yeah,
I think he should be one of them, but we'll see. We are going to do a live stream on a Tuesday before the Champions League kicks off. We'll invite Nathan and Cameron on because we know that a lot of people love seeing their team reveals. 2 great characters. Whether they can make it or not, I don't know. We'll have to see. Hopefully they're not at work or anything. Aaron, how do you think this group's going to go?
Real Madrid first, Inter Milan second, Shakhtar third, Sheriff fourth.
I am going to go with Inter Milan first, and then Real Madrid, and then Shakhtar, and then Sheriff. I'm trying to be a bit different with Inter. Also, I know it'll annoy you if they finish top.
Yeah.
So
most of my gripe with them in Europe was Antonio Conte. He's not there anymore. So
yeah, I just think Inter Milan are going to have an aging Hazard and Bale's number. Benzema can't do it all on his own. So I just think Martinez is going to be really good against their defense. I don't really rate Real Madrid too highly. So yeah, I just think, because obviously when you look at who's going to finish top and bottom, it's about consistency sometimes and about those key matches. Who do I think is going to win between Inter Milan and Real Madrid effectively? I also think Inter Milan will probably have an easier time against Sheriff, because I do think Sheriff are going to batter their pitch to bits. And I just think that probably suits knocking the ball high into Dzeko. In just
Dzeko against Sheriff.
That's going to be nice, I think. You go Dzeko or Martinez against Sheriff.
That's true.
Benzema against Sheriff. I just think you need, for me, have 3 premium strikers and then just start jumping to target fixtures.
And that'll be in match day 3 and 4 as well. So there you go. There's another limitless pick for you. Inter against Sheriff.
Was that for match day 4, is it?
For both 3 and 4.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go then. Lots to sort of digest, but that is us done for group previews. We have a live stream tomorrow, and that is with Kevin Wolf, who did amazingly well last year.
Could have already been out by the time this episode is.
Yeah, it might even actually already be out by the time this one gets.
So check that out.
Yeah, check it out. And like I say, we'll be on a live stream on Tuesday, doing all of our team reveals, and we will be creating our main event differential Mavericks team for us to support as well. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you if you've listened to all of our podcasts. Thank you if you've shared them. Abdul, I'm looking at you. Plugging before we even get the chance to. So thanks for that, mate. And we will see you for our live streams. And if you don't get a chance to watch us before then, best of luck for this season. It's going to be amazing. We'll love the Champions League. And thank goodness there is no Super League. So take care now, and we'll see you shortly. Bye.